Hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome to yet another episode of Living on Music. I'm Steve Hauk, and could not be happier to be with you this evening for a incredible double shot of amazing rock and roll ladyship. And this is something that I am so excited. I am sitting here in Madison Square Garden, and reason being, and I've been there many, many times as a kid growing up to concerts and sports and things like that. But two of the greatest shows I ever saw there were in 1976 and 77, Aerosmith and Led Zeppelin, respectively. Aerosmith's Rocks Tour, which was one of the first real hard rock shows I'd ever seen. And in 1977, Led Zeppelin. And took the train from Wilton, Connecticut down to Penn Station and went to the shows and took the train back and got picked up at the train station on each one and never forgot 1 minute of either one of those shows. And that makes a lot of sense to me tonight because of my two guests. They've both been on Living on Music before, but as I am doing as we go forward, I'm bringing some of the folks back that I've had on as well as new guests so I can talk to how they've been doing since we were on together, how they've been getting through this, how the music has come and thrived, or have they had struggles or challenges. Tonight, Handal and Marlain Angelides are my guests tonight, and very, very excited to have them both. Handal, solo artist based in LA, incredible talent, incredible guitar player, but also for the last 2 years, the lead guitarist, the Joe Perry of Aerosmith all-female tribute band Ragdolls. And this hit them hard, and now they're hoping to come out like gangbusters and do some amazing work. We'll talk to Ali about her last year and also what she's got coming up with Ragdolls and also her solo career. And she's such a great person, as is my second guest. And when I told Ali that Marlain was on, with her on this show, she was just thrilled. Marlain Angelides, not only a lifetime talent on multiple levels, just an incredible, incredible talent, but also for the last few years, lead singer for Led Zeppelin, a Led Zeppelin all-female tribute band. So Aerosmith and Led Zeppelin were my first tastes of rock and roll, which I feel 45 years later almost. And these two are keeping that music alive as well as so many other things they do in their solo lives. So tonight is huge. And very soon I will be introducing Ali first and then Marlain, and we will have a wonderful ride with these two ladies. Couldn't be more excited to have them. Real quick, Living on Music on Facebook. Join us. Fun to have a lot of people on there. We can share a lot of things, pictures, videos, posts of live music gigs that are coming up, polls, what's your favorite song, what's your favorite album. Just a great group. Getting up towards over almost 600 members. Very, very exciting. Well, as I mentioned a few minutes ago in the show open, you can see behind me one of my absolute favorite venues and the favorite venue of millions, Madison Square Garden. And I mentioned earlier why this venue has such a special meaning tonight, as it did to me back in the day, especially in 1976 when for really one of my first real rock concerts, I went and saw Aerosmith. And this was the Rocks Tour, basically where they were on a roll. It was pretty much the peak of the band in their early years for sure. Rocks was an album that was wonderfully produced, even a little bit more produced than maybe Toys in the Attic, which was the previous record, and had songs like Last Child and Back in the Saddle and things like that. And it's just an incredible, incredible record. And to see these guys at their peak at this amazing venue was a treat beyond compare. And the music has lasted my entire life. They took a big dip through some substance abuse issues and just kind of getting getting too into the whole part of rock and roll that can bring you down. And there's a great book also about Aerosmith that talks a lot about the story of the band. But anyway, they were at their peak at that time. And then for the rest of my life, I've loved that band, seen them since. And they're hanging in there, still able to play some pretty good stuff live. My first guest tonight, who again was a guest on Living on Music many months ago as the pandemic began, and I was just thrilled to have her again. Ali Handal is first and foremost an incredible musician on her own, a singer-songwriter, has done some amazing stuff over the last number of years, writing songs, performing, growing her guitar prowess, loving her cats and her husband, the magician, which is fascinating. But Ali is something special, very, very special lady. And not only, again, she's had her solo career, but also she fairly recently joined Ragdolls, which is a Aerosmith, all-female Aerosmith tribute band. And I caught probably one of their first shows in a long time. I don't think it was their first show ever, but it was one of their first shows in a long, long time. And it was virtual a number of months ago, and it blew my mind. The musicians were fabulous. Their vocalist does the trick. It's not easy to come in and sing Steve Tyler. Believe me, I've tried to sing some Aerosmith songs in my cover bands, and you try your hardest, and Steven is Steven, but they did a beautiful job. And at the core is Ali Handal, because she is taking on the Joe Perry part of Aerosmith, but she gives it her own thing too. I mean, obviously wants to hit the notes and hit the feels of Joe, but Ali brings such an amazing presence and talent. And we'll talk a little bit about how her guitar prowess has grown. It's been one of the positives of quarantining, is musicians learning and honing their craft even further. Okay, let's get to it. Welcome back to Living on Music. So excited to have her back here, Ali Handal. Ali Handal, you are back on Living on Music, and you've graced us again. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thanks, Steve.
It's so good to see you. I've been telling people, and I mentioned it in the introduction, that you were here in June of last year when things were really starting to kind of begin to excel. Your mood and your positivity and kindness and sweetness during the show was something that I took with me through the rest of the time, because you were so kind and wonderful with your cats behind me, and now you have one pseudo cat back there.
Just Sophie, the pseudo cat.
Thank you. It's Sophie. Oh, that's so sweet. But anyway, we are here together after about 13 or 14 months. Both of us, I'm sure, dealing with different things. I want to talk to you about your life as an accomplished musician, and how you've been doing since we last were together. And we'll talk a little bit about what you did during this time. But how are you, Ali Handal, doing? I know that you're feeling good about, I loved your comments about how you and your husband survived, because a lot of people have talked about that, living with somebody for this entire time. It's like, oh my God. And you don't
Yeah,
travel, but how are you doing?
good. I mean, the thing with us, it's kind of interesting. Where we live in a condo that is a loft style condo. So and it's really cool looking. Like people come in and they look and it's like, oh my God, it's the people who lived here before us. Like they did all these cool things with the paint and all this neat stuff. But it's one room. So we both live here in one room. We have very different schedules generally. Like I'm more of a morning person, he's more of a night owl.
Oh,
So for both of us to be home together for like 16 months, um, yes, that was challenging, like in basically one room. But it
wow.
forced us to like work through a bunch of stuff, which was great. And literally, like last night, I was planning our a vacation that we're going to be taking in just a few weeks. That is going to be our 15th wedding anniversary.
Oh,
So we
congratulations.
survived so far.
Oh, yeah, you made it to 15 after 14. Where are
That's
you
pretty.
going?
We're going to be going to Hawaii.
Oh, fantastic.
I know Southwest had tickets like $99 each way last night. And so I was like, "Oh my God, I've got to do this right now." We were just gonna like drive somewhere close by, but I was kind of overwhelmed because we are kind of flexible. So I'm like,
Yes.
I don't know where to go or what to do whenever I
Right.
want to go to Hawaii. And I was talking to my sister, and she's like, "Well, why don't you just go to Hawaii then?" She had just gone and like snorkeled with all the sea turtles and all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, life is too short, which I think a lot of people are getting from the whole COVID thing. I've always felt that way. I've always felt like life is too short. So it's like, well, if you really want to do something, why don't you just at least see if you can do it? Like, don't just say you can't do it without even investigating. So
Right.
very grateful that she was like, well, why don't you just go to Hawaii?
Oh, that's spectacular. I wish we're going in November. My
Woo!
partner Suzanne's daughter lives in Maui and has a new grandchild and all that. So we're going out for a few days in November, and then both of her daughters are getting married in Hawaii in 2022. It's like, wow, I never been, and now it's like, whoa, the flying is fun. But that's great that you guys were able to, kind of almost, use the time together as a way to continue, because I know things were strong when we last talked. You also told me you wrote a new song every month.
Yes, I did. It's something that I promised my Backstage with Allie fan club. It's like a Patreon kind of thing, but we don't use Patreon. But
Right.
I promised them. I launched it back in September of 2019, and every month I write a new song and I give them a cover song as well. And I just do like a video from here on my couch or whatever, and I upload it to them. And then we also meet online once a month. We have a Zoom, like concert and hang where we all get to chat and stuff. But yeah, so I had promised everyone like a song a month, and sometimes it's more challenging than others because like especially when I was really busy with other projects, I was like, "Oh my god, it's the 28th and I haven't written a song. Ah, let me call my co-writer Patricia and see what we can do."
Right.
It was good because it forced me to do that, and then I ended up with all of these songs, most of which I ended up wanting to record. So I'm going into the studio in like a week to continue with this next album. And if I hadn't had that kind of pressure to produce a new song every month, I definitely wouldn't have all this material because I was not like in the mood to be writing all.
Isn't that interesting? Again, another kind of unexpected positivity of this insane last year that musicians spent. And you're not alone. A lot of people that I've had on, of the 70 guests in the last 15 months on Living on Music, have said that too, that they might not have been kind of pushed into continuing to do that. Well, that's really exciting. Is that so? That's all going to be part of a next Alley Handle record.
Yeah, I'm actually working on two completely different records right now.
Ooh.
One is like a continuation of kind of the bluesy rock kind of thing that I do. And then another one is I have a whole bunch of songs that would really lend themselves well to a completely different treatment. And I also kind of keep it in mind something that my producer loves the songs. He loves my voice on the ballads, which is completely different from all the rock stuff I do. But I tend to agree with him that sometimes like I definitely don't have like a natural like rock voice like the singer in our Ragdolls band, our Aerosmith tribute. She has the voice I always wanted for rock and roll. The Steven Tyler. I can sing rock, but like I personally like the sound of my voice on the ballads better, the kind of breathy,
Right.
gentle thing. So I have a whole collection of like really bittersweet, beautiful songs that I'm not producing, but we're going to be working with a guy named Juan. Oh gosh, I don't know how to pronounce his last name correctly. Coraviaros, I think. But he's from South America, and he's an incredible producer and keyboard player, and he's making all these soundscapes for these songs, and they're going to be kind of more along the like Sade line, but a little bit
Nice.
more updated than that. But very different vibe, like kind of gentle, ethereal, dreamy kind of stuff. So I'm working on
Oh,
both records at the same time. I have no idea what I'm going to do with the dreamy record,
right.
but I'm definitely going to be making it available for people. I don't know if I'm going to be putting it out as my own thing. I don't want to confuse people, like here I am, this rock chick, and then here I am in this look ethereal
Well,
thing.
I think your base will absolutely want
My
to
fan.
hear it, and
Yeah.
I think that that's something that you'll be very excited with. You talk about the backstage with Allie. That is a wonderful thing to do, and give people a little chance to have some kind of some piece of their own alley, in the midst of it all.
Yeah.
Here's a little moment, and it's relatively recent, I believe.
Yeah.
Backstage, was this with Ragdolls?
Yeah, this is our last show like a week and a half ago.
Oh yeah, and it's so fun. I've been back so often, and you as a player, and me more as a writer, being backstage at bigger clubs like that. And it's such a fun experience, meeting people, but being back alone. Here's a little bit of Ali Handal, a moment alone backstage.
So I am here backstage at the Canyon Club, and there's nobody else here, which I love. I've been kind of rushing around all day, getting ready for this gig, and I'm just so excited. And I just wanted to take a moment and let you in on the backstage here. It's kind of crazy. There's like a witch back here. I don't know if you see her, but she's very scary. And all kinds of gold records on the wall and different. It's kind of ratty, but we don't have like the prime green room because Missing Persons is in there. But that's okay. This is nice enough for me to sit and warm up my fingers on my pink guitar. So I'm just enjoying some quiet time with me, myself, and my third venti soy latte with 2 pumps of vanilla. So anyway, that's it. Just trying to stay calm. Found out some really cool people that I would really like to honestly impress are going to be here tonight. But I'm just going to focus on having as much fun as I possibly can and living out that rock and roll fantasy. That's what it's all about in the end. And letting my hair down as soon as it's time. All right, I'll see you on the other side. I really like to have some downtime by myself to warm up, especially, especially vocally, because it's not something I like other people to hear.
Right.
But I mean, it's just, it is what it is. You got to do it.
Yeah, you absolutely do. You also did a wonderful series that I watched many of these because they were so, and they just were engaging and fun. And they went from kind of relatively serious things like dealing with the pandemic to one that I picked out of many of them. So, as host, I get to pick some stuff occasionally, and I picked 2 of these. How did that quarantine questions thing come to bear? Because it was really, really well done. The settings were neat. I think you did it outside, and was it a similar location every time?
Yeah, I think so. I went back to that same park a couple times. Actually, so I have an assistant that I found a couple years ago through Musicians Institute, actually. His name is Alex Medrano. He is so bright, another musician, very talented guy. And he lived in LA when I started working with him, and then he ended up, his visa ran out, his student visa ran out, so he went back to Mexico City where he's from. And we've been working virtually together for the last year or so. Oh. And Quarantine Questions was his idea. Nice. We were thinking about he was like, well, what kind of video series can we do? And he's like, why don't you do this thing where, people can ask you questions, they can submit questions, and then you answer them. And I was like, that's great. That sounds pretty easy. And so I would go to this park because being in a condo, I didn't have any private outdoor space to hang out in during the pandemic. And I really did that would have made it a lot easier just even to have a little piece of grass that I could sit on that that wasn't just concrete or something. Right. So I would go to this park and bring my little my phone and a little stand and stuff and just record answers to people's questions. And I think mostly I did it at the park. I did other videos from here, which is my lady loft, cats and stuff like that. But I couldn't bring the cats to the park, so sometimes I just bring a guitar or just myself and answer questions.
Oh, no, it was wonderful. And I think it was, again, something that not only gave you a chance to engage, but it gave people like us, fans of yours, and also your base, a chance to see you. Because I think a lot of it was like, are these people okay? And what are they doing? And you really went to town on how you gave people a little bit of alley. This is one that does deal with, a question that I've asked many times over the last 15 months of living on music, but it's something that really, I think, both musicians and fans thought of a lot and would like to hear your opinion. This is a little bit of Ali Handal's quarantine question. What do you miss most about performing?
Hey guys, Ali here, and I've got another installment of Quarantine Questions. Woohoo! What I miss most about performing is feeling the energy from my fans in the room, and just, hearing the music go out there and then feeling the energy come back. There's nothing like it. There's nothing like being in the same room with a performer that you're just on that same wavelength with. I miss that. I miss that as a person on stage, and I miss that as an audience member too.
Those are, yeah, Allie, those are honest answers, and very interesting, how because that's what you felt, right? Both, not being, be able to be up on stage, but not being with those people,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and I mean, I'm still, we're still in LA. We just things are going up and down and up and down, and
Yeah.
it's still crazy. So I haven't seen very many of my friends still, like even doing shows, like a lot of people are still not really comfortable going to an indoor show. So, and we've done only a few.
Yeah.
I've gotten to see a few people, but it's still pretty isolating.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people I haven't seen for a
I
really long.
bet in LA, the Governor Newsom is really, he's had a heck of a ride, and get, these guys get blamed for things. And it's like, what would you be like if you were a governor of the state during all this? And
Ugh.
I know that that's tough out there. I'm playing my first indoor gig since my birthday in March of 2020. We're playing at the JVs, which is a very well-known local DC area club. And everybody's a little bit like, I mean, there'll be people going there and they've had it very distanced and attendance down, but they've
Yeah.
had people there since last summer, going into these shows, and maybe there's 10 people there, but it'll be interesting. Here's another one, which I love this. This is another of Allie's quarantine questions. And I thought it was really fun. And the band that you developed, this is, who would your ultimate rock group be?
Here's a question from Roy S. Of all the musicians past and present, who would you pick to form your ultimate rock group? Well, thanks for making it easy for me, Roy. Actually, this question is not easy, but I have kind of a simple answer to it. In terms of the ultimate rock group for me to go watch, I would love to see Led Zeppelin without Robert Plant. No shade on Robert whatsoever. I love Robert Plant. But I'd like to see Led Zeppelin play with Chris Cornell. So John Bonham on drums, John Paul Jones on bass. I just love that rhythm section so much. Jimmy Page on guitar, and Chris Cornell. Now, it could also be really interesting to get somebody like with that rhythm section and Chris Cornell, to get somebody like really out of the box, like Guthrie Govan, to play with them. Or like, I love John Frusciante from the Chili Peppers. That would be really interesting and cool. And I don't know, I think they could come up with some really, really cool stuff that will definitely rock and groove because of that rhythm section. The vocals will be amazing because of Chris Cornell, and then like the guitar player could bring something really different to it. I don't know. So maybe also Stevie Wonder on keys to bring in some of that funk. We need some funk in the band. I mean, John Bonham's pretty funky drummer, which is why I love him. Very groovy. To get some of that Stevie Wonder in there, that would be nice. Oh, I'd love to hear Stevie Wonder play with that rhythm section. Oh, fun.
Now there's a band, and
Yeah.
I loved at the beginning, and again, being a Zeppelin fan and stuff like that, you were like, sorry, Robert, I love you very much, but I'm putting in Chris Cornell, and Stevie Wonder with John Paul Jones. I mean, it's like, who knows what they.
Stevie Wonder and Chris Cornell. What a weird what a duet that would be.
Yeah, well, again, congratulations on giving people your own feelings and thoughts on things, and also asking them all the time. You seem to be very open in that too, but that was great move on the quarantine questions. And again, another way for a musician to keep going. And so many people I've talked to, God, the last 3 shows, there was such a volume of need for engagement and continuing what you were doing, and you seem to have done it. And another way, nice shirt.
Thank you. My rag.
Another way you learned how to keep going is diving deeper.
Ugh,
into the
yeah.
world of Joe Perry. And why do I have this venue behind me? Of course, is I saw these guys, Aerosmith, in 1977 on the Rocks tour as a little
Ah, I'm so jealous.
boy, well, 16 years old, growing fast, and we took the train in, as we did the following year with Led Zeppelin. And so,
Ah, I'm really, really jealous.
yeah, and so
Jealous.
I was so excited to be able to go to those two shows, and I'll never forget either one of them, even though they're now like 500 years ago. I'm at six. I just turned 60 in March, so
Woo, congratulations.
thank you very much. It's just great to still be here. 44 years ago, I went to those shows, so that's the garden for you. That's why it's behind me. But I noticed in some of the notes that you sent out and some of the emails and stuff that I kept in up to date with as this was going through, you really felt that speaking of things that went well during the pandemic, your guitar playing was already fantastic. It even went up. Why do you think that happened? Because of the concentration, like you were just talking?
Oh yeah, because I was practicing.
Yeah, that would be it.
Well, so I mean, I realized something about myself. Like, I won't do things unless I I have the threat of like being embarrassed or something. So like, if I promised I would learn all these songs because we're going to do these live shows, right? So now we've got shows on the calendar, and I am dedicated to putting on the best show I possibly can, and I committed. This is the reason I committed to Ragdolls in the first place. So to back up, Ragdolls is an all-female Aerosmith tribute, and I'm Joe Perry. So I have learned now over the quarantine, I learned basically an hour and a half worth of Aerosmith songs, note for note, as much as I possibly can. And really, I mean, I'm playing some stuff that Joe doesn't play live. So like from the records, and I just love it so much. And I really, to me, being in a tribute band is really about doing everything note for note as much as possible, and then stretching out, when
Yeah.
it makes sense live.
Hey!
So I went in, and I mean, I spent probably thousands of hours with my guitar. Like, I'm not exaggerating. I would spend 2 hours on one measure if it was super fast, and I'd slow it down to like a quarter speed on YouTube, and get the isolated guitar tracks. I mean, I was a complete nerd about it. But when I broke it down that way, that was how I knew exactly what I needed to play, and then I could speed it up very, very gradually. And so I learned everything in a very, very complete way. And yeah, I was spending hours a night on my guitar, which is something I never had done, really. I mean, not for a really long time. I had done that before, but not in this concentrated way for many years, because I'd been really focused on, developing myself as a singer, and then developing myself as a songwriter, and now I'm getting back into developing myself more as a guitar player. So it's kind of like focusing on different things. But for me, it was so much fun, and I was able to push through barriers that I never thought I could, like speed. Like, I never considered myself a very fast player, and I'm still not as fast as some people, but like I can play all of Joe Perry's stuff note for note at that speed.
Yes.
Never thought I could do that. I impressed myself, and I made myself proud of myself, which, it took a lot of effort. And so being on the other side of that is amazing. But before I did it, like when I said yes, which was in like November or October of 2019, so I've been working
Wow.
on this for a while, I was scared. Like I was very nervous. I did not know if I could do it, but I had a feeling I could, but I wasn't sure. So, it there's nothing like that sense of accomplishment that you get after focusing on something that you weren't sure you could do and then realizing and proving to yourself that you could do it. That's
Right.
why that's why I did it. Like that's why I'm doing this band because I mean, yeah, a tribute band theoretically could be a great source of income, I hope someday
Right.
soon. But
Right.
like honestly, I've spent way more time and money on this project than I've gotten back. And of course, we've only done 4 shows, so that's okay. But I got a new amazing like magenta Les Paul that looks incredible. I've gotten custom clothing that made by someone who does stuff for Steve has done stuff for Steven and Joe. Like I put a lot of myself and
Wow.
my resources into it, mostly just because I wanted to kick ass, really.
Right.
You know, and yeah, we would like to make some money. That'd be great. And we're looking to like really step up the booking for next year.
Right.
And things calm down. But yeah, I mean it's been fun and like now I've got all these songs under my belt. It's pretty amazing.
Well, and what was that show that you aired? You guys did a full show.
Oh,
How long ago was that?
that was that was during
Yes,
the pandemic. That was at the end of October.
that's right.
Yeah, and I was scared to death before that show because I was like, "Oh my God, this is the first time I'm playing all this stuff in front of people." And it turns out I was pretty well prepared. So,
Oh yes, and I'll be. Look, a long time rock and roll fan. As I, saw the major Aerosmith fan from day one, and I was extremely impressed. And I think I let you know via email, or at least some kind of messaging after that show, because I was, I went into it going, okay, I'm game. I mean, again, we're
yeah.
double. I didn't mention this in the pre-show, but we're doubling up some guests now because things are going a little lower. And the guest that you're being doubled up with is Marlain Angelides from Led Zeppelin.
Oh,
So I'm like,
it.
how perfect is, and I've had Marlene on, and she's an incredible talent, and joined in the last couple of
Yeah.
years to join Steph Payne's, one of your cohorts in this tribute land. But
Yeah.
what an incredible and I walked away from your Ragdolls performance going, I I don't see any major issues at all with anybody. And I'm not an over critique, but I would have been like, okay, that's pretty good over here. You
Yeah.
guys nailed it. So for you to say, well, I need to take it up a notch. I mean, you're gonna.
It's gotten better and better every show. And that's
Oh,
our
I
goal is to get better every show. And
yeah,
it's
and
so
you're
much
just
better than it was 6 months ago.
right. Where are you playing? Where are you?
We just did the Canyon Club down the street here. We're doing a few of those. We played the Saban Theater on Wilshire, which is a gorgeous theater. We're mostly doing theaters, performing arts centers, and casinos, stuff like that.
And you've got your solo career is going to continue. You
Yeah.
concentrated on Joe and the Aerosmith music as part of your world there, but you wrote songs for new records. So you've got both solo and Ragdolls going, right?
Yeah, and it was so interesting because I mean, thank goodness Aerosmith stuff, I mean, blues rock, it's exactly the genre that I'm playing in. I had to do a lot of slide work for the Aerosmith stuff and
Right.
for Ragdoll, I actually borrowed my husband's lap steel and that was great at the last show. I got to stand up and play it just like Joe does and so much fun, but I'm going to be taking a ton of what I learned doing the Aerosmith stuff over into my own solo stuff. I love that it's
Oh,
really applicable, you know.
very smart move. Because
I mean, it wasn't really on purpose smart. It was just like it happened to be a good idea.
yeah,
Just 'cause I'm such a big fan of theirs.
it's cosmic. You see,
It's cosmic.
it made fun. You also, which I thought was fascinating, and this is speaking of guitar work, and we haven't talked about this, is the Fleetwood Mac band kind of experience that you're doing. Tell me a little bit about that. Are you Lindsay in that band?
No, no, no. Thank God. I didn't have time to do that. But what happened was I got a call from an amazing musician named Walter Eno, incredible guitar player, singer, and keyboard player. And and he's the MD for this Fleetwood Mac tribute experience that performs with symphony orchestras all over the place. So he is the Lindsay in that band. They
Okay.
needed somebody to sing all the Christine McVie stuff.
That's right. That was in your notes. Oh my.
I was just singing, but now like he's having me play acoustic guitar on like 5 songs just to help fill out some stuff. So I'm not really, I'm not playing keys or anything.
Right.
We've got like a professional keyboard player to handle, all of the real keyboard parts. And then the Stevie Nicks to my Christine McVie is an incredible bass player. Actually, she's not been playing bass in that band, but she is a bass player and a great singer, named Jen Oberly, and she
Wow.
also did all of the orchestrations. So like I'm playing with these. The reason I said yes in the middle of a pandemic to a gig, like I wasn't the biggest Fleetwood Mac fan, to be
Hmm.
honest,
Right.
but to get to play with this caliber of players, like top session people in LA, I was like, hell yeah, I want to do that. And so I donned my like, this is before vaccinations and everything. So I donned my, shield and double masked and got on a plane to Iowa with all of them. And it was kind of freaky, but it went really well. And so now this week we're doing another show in Pasadena, and I'm hoping that as things open up, we get to do this all over the country because it's so much fun and it's a lot easier for me as just singing and playing a little bit of acoustic guitar. It's so much easier to prepare
Mhm.
for than the Aerosmith stuff or frankly my own stuff.
Right.
um and it's fun because I'm not in charge. Like I love the idea of not being in charge because I'm in charge of almost everything in my life,
Right.
in terms of you know my own solo career and my day job is a company that I
Yes.
co-founded. So it's a lot of me being in charge, and I love it. Like someone else is the MD. Just tell me what to
Right.
do, where to be. I'll be there. I'll sing the parts. I'll have fun.
What songs are you singing?
I am singing. Tell me lies, tell me sweet little
Oh
lies.
wow.
All of her songs. Yeah, I mean, it's to me, it's not really the coolest songs. Like I think the coolest ones are the Stevie Nicks ones, but they're well suited for my voice, and
Sure.
they're all the biggest hits.
Are you doing Songbird?
No, no,
Okay. Yeah.
we're doing all the really big hits.
Oh,
So
that's so fun.
go
Well,
your own way.
and Pasadena Symphony is going to join the band at this
Yeah,
gig. That sounds intense.
it's gonna be really fun. Yeah, it's. I think it's gonna be awesome.
And
So
how has your business been doing during this time?
really well, actually,
Yay.
really really well. Thank goodness because my husband's been 100% out of work because he's a performing magician.
Right. Yes, that's
So
right.
yeah, so fortunately, my business was able to cover us, throughout the pandemic.
Well, you
We're
mean your husband couldn't just, click his fingers and change things and,
I wish, you know.
fill cabinets and things like that? I
Nice.
mean,
Yes.
it's a music licensing company, right? Is that?
Right. Yeah, we're called Triple Scoop Music, and
Yes.
yeah, we co-founded it 15 years ago. And my business partner is a freaking genius, and a very dear friend of mine. And yeah, we just throughout this whole pandemic, we worked from home, and it worked out really well. But it was interesting because a lot of people were saying, "Oh, there's nothing to do, and I can't go out." And I'm like, I have 1,500 projects, and I'm, working from home. It's like I was so busy, and it was good, but sometimes I take on a little too much, and so
Right.
someday I'll work on that. But I'm not working on that currently, obviously.
No, and that was a wonderful kind of aspect to this that was able to keep you from an economic standpoint, I'm sure, at least things going forward. But
Yeah.
Allie, let's be real. The music didn't stop. And I mean, I want you to get Ragdolls to the DC area somehow
Yes.
because
Oh, yeah. We're planning on. I mean, we're right now we're looking for a booking agent who can just book us nationally and maybe internationally. So the plan is to get out on the road a lot next year. So
yay. Well, I think it would be, yes, what I'm trying to do, and I just emceed a Cancer Can Rock event here. Cancer Can Rock is a huge organization founded by a local record producer who produces songs for cancer survivor, people going through cancer,
Oh,
and
cool.
he's an amazing guy. He's a platinum producer, but he decided he had brain cancer and decided to get it. Jim Ebert. And long story short, I've had him on 3 times on the show. We've had cancer survivors on the show playing who were spectacular, top notch, and then
Awesome.
we honored some who passed who were on his show.
Oh,
And so I emceed a Cancer Can Rock Nova Fest thing, and I'm
oh,
telling you, I met in person about 6 people that I've interviewed on the show that I've never met in person. And it was like
wow.
Christmas morning. You're like, hi, it's nice to like actually hug you and say hello and like, be face to face, because this thing has been so crazy. I mean, we launched this show in the pandemic. And so
Yeah.
to be able to see you after, 14 months of this thing, and see your vitality is at pretty hot, is at a wonderful level. You've upped your game on a number of fronts. I'm telling you, it's wonderful that you're doing so well, and that it looks like things are going to be going musically forward in a really good manner. Don't you feel that right now?
I do. I mean, it's still such a weird time, and I don't know if I don't remember if we talked about this on the last show, but I'm a cancer survivor too, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm actually this has been the whole COVID thing has been. I mean, what a time to start a band. We were rehearsing outdoors, by the pool of our singer's house, and I had to be extremely careful. I still do because so I still have cancer technically. I'm fine, but I still get checked up and stuff, and it's just a slow growing thing that I'm on medication for. But the medication I'm on is something that makes my immune system a little bit less great than like a normal person. And I ended up getting, after I got my COVID vaccination, I got tested for antibodies, and it showed I had zero antibodies. And I completely freaked out because I was like, how am I going to go on tour and do stuff and whatever if I don't have the vaccine? Turns out that's not like I got another test. The tests are not perfect. I got
Hmm.
another test that showed I did have some antibodies,
Right.
and you also have T cells,
False
which
positives.
don't measure. They're not measured. So I probably have some pretty good immunity. Plus, I'm very healthy otherwise, other than having cancer.
Right.
But like that caused so much tension, between that and one of the people in our band got COVID, and so we all, it was really crazy. But the threat of getting COVID for somebody who is immunocompromised like myself, even though I don't look like I am, people who don't know me don't know that. So,
No.
and it's just with all the political crap where people, you know, kind of believing lies and all this crazy stuff.
Yep.
It's been challenging,
Oh, I
just
I
kind
bet.
of navigate that and, try not to piss people off, but also be like, yeah, I need to stand for my own health and I need to, my well-being is important.
Well, just another thing that I will certainly wish you the best on, and keep me posted as you feel appropriate, because I will be thinking of you. And I think I do remember that now, that we talked a little bit about that. And well, again, you know, uh, that's why music is such a salve. It's such a soothing part of life for so many people. And that's why launching this show during this time, I was able to see it. It helped so many
Yeah.
people get through so many different things. Out of about 80 musicians I asked to be on the show, only about 4 or 5 said they couldn't do it because they just were so stressed. But it seems like with that kind of added concern in your life, you've been able to increase the Joe Perry, write songs enough to have albums ready. And also, I love the thought of this other, the kind of the different album from the rock and roll one. So I'm going to ask you to please keep in close touch with me. And I thank you so much
Absolutely.
for taking the time again to be with me.
Oh, it's always a pleasure, Steve. It's so much fun. And I'm so glad, every time I see something on my calendar, I'm like, there's part of me that's like, oh, I can't wait to do this. I'm so excited. And there's part of me like, oh God, I got to do my hair and my makeup and I have to be presentable. And the brain has to work. But every time after, I'm like, I can't wait to actually meet you in person.
Yeah.
Like get to DC. Like, let's.
That would be the culmination of all of this for me. But
Yeah.
in the meantime, I was like, I have to get Ali back on and find out. And it sounds again like things in a lot of ways are really rocking for you. So I will be in close touch because I want to push Ragdolls and also your own stuff when it comes out. But stay safe out in LA.
Oh, I
Um,
will.
I'm sure things, hopefully, as we get through this, things will continue to even out. But best
Yeah,
of wishes to you. And again, keep in close touch with me, will you?
I will.
Great.
Thanks, Steve.
My pleasure. Man, I love that lady. She is fabulous. Ali Handal, thank you so much for being on Living on Music. Wishing you the very best of luck, staying safe and healthy. As we talked a little bit about, vulnerable a little bit to, health and stuff like that. Wishing you the very best of luck. I know that Ragdolls is going strong. They got a bunch of gigs that they did right before this show, and then they have a number in October coming up, as far as my recent schedule from Ali said, and all in California. So we're hoping to get them again to come to DC, and I can meet Ali in person and give her a hug, like I'm trying to meet all these guests that I've had on Living on Music in person, because our deep discussions and talks about their lives have all been virtual, and I've only met a few of them as we've been going along, obviously. So can't wait to see you, Ali, and once again, thanks for being on Living on Music. This is a twofer of twofers tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Also, a guest that I had on Living on Music back in October, right after she had her appendix surgery. She came on the show not many days after. It was amazing. She did the show, but she wanted to stay on schedule. And I said, okay, as long as you're okay. She is one of the most talented guests I've ever had on any interview that I've done in the last 20 years, let alone the last year and a half on Living on Music. With a tremendous talent bank of theater, music, voice work. You could go across the spectrum of talents that Marlain Angelides has. Also, she came up with I guess you could call it kind of an alter ego presence, a musical presence during this last year and a half called Savella. And there is some really wonderful stuff that came out of her during this time. It's very personal, and we'll talk a little bit about that. How almost too personal for some of it. She almost didn't release one video, but really wanted to come out and be a little bit of part of Marlain Angelides, but not as Marlain. We'll talk a little bit about that, and she'll explain. But it is some wonderful stuff, and of course, as many of you watching know, she is also the current lead singer for the incredible Led Zeppelin, all-female Led Zeppelin tribute band, Led Zeppelin, who I've been associated with for several years, interviewed and hung out with Steph Paines, the founder and kind of leader of Led Zeppelin. And between her and Joan Chu and Lisa Harrington Squires, excuse me, Marlain adds a real dynamic dimension to Led Zeppelin as the lead singer, and brings a power to not only the Robert Plant induced vocals, but also her own presence. And that's what I love about Marlain in this band. And we'll talk a little bit about how she is really a front woman, and going solo and doing Savella was a great experience, but she really is a bandmate, and she's got a band. So ladies and gentlemen, welcoming back for her second visit on Living on Music, the amazing Marlain Angelides. Marlain, welcome back. Gosh, it is so great to see you.
It's so great to see you too, Steve. Thank you so much for having me back.
We just talked before the show, and came up with the fact that it was around September, October when we last connected like this. And gosh, has a lot of water flown under the bridges since then. And we're ahead of the game, right? A little bit, but it seems like things are bouncing back. How are you doing up here? And as Marlain, music aside for the moment, how are you doing?
Well, I think I'm sort of getting through it. It was difficult for everyone, including me. We all found our ways to get through it. Obviously, one of my ways was music.
Yeah.
And, I still feel like I'm confined to my house. But when I was in Cyprus and Greece just recently, it was really nice to be outside a lot, and, enjoy the sort of nature of it all. Here it's a little harder in New York City to enjoy nature with as much concrete as there is around, especially where I now live. But I do love the summer. So for me, even though it's super hot, I'm happy to like go outside. So I'm feeling like that sort of positive energy, and I'm trying to stay on that sort of thought process to keep myself, in a better place.
It sounds like it, and it must have been absolutely wonderful to go back to your homeland and to see there had to be people there that you loved, and the
Yeah.
beauty of the place, and that had to really be special, especially right now during this crazy, and the times that we're in.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the whole thing made me reflect a lot about how far away I am from my family.
Yeah.
And that I have to make a conscious effort now, like more frequently, to visit, because it's important. And even though I love being in America, I do need to make sure I make it home. And yes, I happen to be lucky that both places are very beautiful, so I get to enjoy some pretty amazing stuff when I go.
I bet. I mean, it is a place that my partner Suzanne, as I've told you, is the third generation Greek, Suzanne Sakoumas, and wants to go back to her homeland where her parents and for family is from. She's visited several times, but just wants to go back too because of that kind of feeling of getting back to her roots as well. It is wonderful that your music continued, and boy, I know, because I saw all of the wonderful barrage of kind of material that you sent out to your people, to your base, and to say, hey, this is Savella. And
Hmm.
it tell us a little bit about where this came from. I know you've talked about this a lot, but please tell me where it came from, why you decided to kind of take a little bit of I guess an alter ego is one way to look at it, but more just a little bit of a shift. And we also have some just fabulous moments from your adventure. And tell us how it began.
Right. Well, when we talked last time was just at the beginning. I had
Yeah.
just finished my crowdfunding campaign.
Yeah.
I had sort of thoughts about what I wanted it to be. I had these sort of demos of material I had sort of, collected over the years. And when I say material, I mean like lyrics and melodies that were very sort of personal to me at the time that I wrote them.
Right.
And I decided that for the first time in a very long time, I would do this on my own, partly because I was stuck in the middle of, in the house with no one else who I could really work with.
Perfect opportunity to do it yourself.
Right. And it felt like it had to be an internet project. And I'd never really dabbled in electronic music before. I don't know what was telling me I should do that. I followed a sort of gut feeling. And I got together with my producer, David Michael Laurie,
Right.
who I knew from my past somewhere. And I don't even know how it kind of came to be, but it was one of those kind of moments that just happened.
Mm-hmm.
And he actually did an amazing job at sort of recreating the energy that I wanted for the songs, because I gave him like this central idea. I was like,
Yeah.
I like this, I like this, I like this, I want it to be like that, I want it this, I want this energy, I want it to have a little bit of a fuck you, but I want it to be little,
Right.
Don't go away from the rock roots, but stay in the kind of deep and sort of mysterious area and energy. And
Yes.
so we had a lot of back and forth, and he created what he called a sound palette of songs that I sort of felt connected to. And I said, I like the bass in this, and I like the sort of electronic line here. And so I kind of gave him examples, with words and with listening to other stuff about how I wanted him to put it together. And he did this incredible job in actually recreating what I felt was true. So
oh man,
he this project, which I did name separate from myself, and that is much like you said, it's like an alter ego, because yes, it's Marlain, but it's a part of me, it's not all of me.
Right.
And I felt that Marlain still is an actor, still is, sings with Led Zeppelin, still does
many things,
voiceovers. Yeah, I felt like it wasn't fair to Marlain to kind of make it Marlain. It needed to be something else.
Wow.
And
Amazing.
Savella comes from my grandmother's name, Kiveli.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she's no longer with us, I'm afraid, but
what a
she was
tribute.
the reason. Yeah, she was the reason that I kind of went from biochemistry to music, musical theater actually, but nevertheless, music was involved.
Wow.
And she was the one that supported me financially and helped me, you know, train. So even though the music has nothing to do with, you know, her or anything like that, she was not musical in the least herself, but
Right.
I felt that I tried to find a way to kind of incorporate something personal in this project, this name. So
Oh, wow. Well, you
yeah.
talk, that's an incredible thing to hear, because I didn't know that at all. The energy you mentioned is palpable in this music, and that's what I love about it. And it varies. You know, you go from you know, even the acoustic version of Rich sounds almost like it's something on Broadway, and then you're going to Dirt, and it's like, you know, I mean, you and your producer and David really hit something special to me. And because you've caught a whole bunch of things, we're going to jump in. The first thing I think you released was Dirt.
Yes.
And it was in, well, when was it released? And then you
It
kind
was
of
in March.
March, and then you were
It
going
was in March. Yeah. I did a song a month kind of thing.
Okay.
And I released 3 songs out of the 4.
Yeah.
Well, actually, no, I released 2 officially, and then I released a video for the 3rd.
Okay.
So yeah, go ahead.
Well,
I mean, the first video I made myself. So
well, and this is great. There's an evolution of just the way the videos go, not necessarily the quality of this first video is a blast, the graphic one, and then you go into these wild like scenario videos. It really, people are gonna have a real fun ride through this. This is tell us just a little bit about where Dirt came from and the feel of it and the writing.
So actually, Dirt was the one song that was not in a demo form before we decided to produce it. This was actually co-written with David. And I actually had the idea on the plane with Led Zeppelin going to Colorado. This was, I can't remember the exact time we went, but it was sometime around the time we spoke the first time we went. And I kind of had this little note, I wrote it down, and I was sitting in the sort of seat at the plane by the window with my phone going. I was like, it was really funny. And then I kind of put together a very rough kind of demo at home of the melody and lyrics. And I said, hey, see what you can do with this. It was very bare bones. And he kind of came up with the whole thing. So I have to give a lot of credit to David for this, because he did co-write this. And it's definitely got a personality of its own, and it's not the same as the other songs. So if one was to hear this, you would not think the other songs would sound the way they do. So
right. Well, that's the beauty of it. There's a real cross variety of you, of Savella's self. You know, this is a little bit, ladies and gentlemen, of the beginning of the run of Marlain and Savella, a little Dirt.
Friends who choose love tend to wait. I want to tempt fate, dancing in darkness. I want to resurface. Your breath is much closer. Let's wash ourselves in dirt. Minding words that matter feels like towers of false attitude. Living through your reverie, the pus exploding, can't you see? The hate you make reinstates and multiplies all the walls all around us. Friends who choose love tend to wait. I want to tempt fate, dancing in darkness. I want to resurface. Your breath is much closer. Let's wash ourselves in dirt.
So Marlain, the graphics in that, as a guy who's been around graphics for 40 years in television and video, were wonderfully done. I mean, who produced that?
It was me. Well, I don't, hear me. This is the glory of Final Cut,
Yes, it is.
I started working with that,
Yeah.
during the pandemic. I learned a little bit. Of course, now I think since I did that, I haven't actually done anything else. So I have to relearn stuff every time I go back in. And I'm not, an expert by any stretch of the imagination, but it lets you do a lot of funky things like what you saw.
Yeah.
And that was a lyric video. I wanted to sort of show a little bit of what the song was about, because it can be quite hard to hear sometimes what the words are.
Yeah.
And it's a little controversial if you actually sit and really read it, but all of my stuff has double entendres and layers to it. So
Yes.
I'm not very good at speaking about lyrics. It's really not very easy. It's just, I write things down with this way that I do, and speaking, I don't have that talent like you do. But the lyrics are sort of indicative of how I write, that there's always more to it than what you read.
Right.
And you have to kind of think about it, and you don't have to think about it. You can do whatever the hell you want and just,
Oh yeah.
let it, not even listen to the words.
No, that's the beauty of it. You have to have an edge sometimes. So I love that there's an edge to it. And I'm gonna have to look at it even closer. The next
Yes,
few
you
times.
do.
And it'll come blitzing out. Speaking of edge, Rich, which is the next
Yes.
video you released from the Savella journey. So the video, wild, people sitting in like their own little pod areas, you coming through, there's that man at the beginning you're concentrating on so you can get rich. Tell me a little bit about the background of that song and the video, because it was very high end. I know it was Alex. What's his last name?
Agisilao.
I was almost going to go there, and I'm like, nah, let me let Marlain say his last name. But he did a beautiful job. Well, they're high end videos from my perspective, and that's what I was also very impressed with. And if you get the right people and everybody's in a studio, you can still do high end stuff. But this was really well done. What was the background on the song? Because it is a movie in itself.
Well, the song is about what people perceive to be the meaning of being rich.
Mm-hmm.
What do they think? Is it the obvious meaning, or could it be a bunch of other things?
Right.
What do we perceive as being perfection? What do we perceive as being all these like things we aim for in life?
Right.
And the video was meant to kind of sort of subliminally indicate sort of the various sort of things that people assume mean rich.
Right.
The man who is, the Wall Street guy with all the money. Is that what we want? He's super handsome. The girl who's very sexy and beautiful and blitzed out, that's what people might consider rich. The techie person on the computer who's like super nerdy, that could be someone who's rich. So we kind of went with the sort of perception of what people might think is rich, and then they go through this kind of crisis of, well, that's not what life is about.
Right.
I can't stand this. Get me out of here. I need to be free. That's where the shift happens. And I know that, having released it, lots of people completely misunderstood the song and thought, I want to be rich, which I was like, well, I get that was bound to happen,
Right.
But that is not the meaning of the song at all.
No.
But, if you're interested, you'll read that into it. You'll see that that's not what it means.
Yeah.
Um,
I knew when you were saying it in the lyrics, I was like, no, that Marlene's not going to just be saying that because that, and you're deeper than all that. I wouldn't have thought that myself. But I love the fact that it is about a whole layer of what it's like and what it's perceived to be. This is wonderful. This, again, a very wonderfully high end produced video too by Alex and directed. I mean by Alex, but I'm sure you had a huge hand in it, Marlain. This is the second single from Savella, The World of Savella, and it is a little bit of Rich.
I want the perfect man, one to match my twisted mind. Mood, sex, and things in common, unfazed by my historic behind. There's perfection in ambition, sacrificing all for one big goal. Feeling freedom in the seduction of life's creative fishbowl. Yeah, I wanna be rich. Yeah, I wanna be rich. Yeah, I wanna get by the easy way. Well, it's the perfect lie, a childhood fantastic wish, fed by the telephonic high, frenzied 15-minute kiss. Please make my life simple, 'cause this life is a bitch. I don't want to be perfect, I want to be rich. Yeah, I wanna be rich. Yeah, I wanna be rich. Yeah, I wanna get by. Yeah, I wanna be rich. Yeah, I wanna be rich. Yeah, I wanna get by. Perfect is the lean, but the lumps and bumps the undesired. Fighting mind, time, and gravity, women wanted, plastic required.
I was wondering if I'd been walking around in that. Not, I'm not rich, but if I was walking around in that room and with you, just very intense. And again, there's a question I want to ask you after we see probably the last video. This is a little bit of a clip, you guys, of a bit of Rich as well, but on a different level. And I was talking with Marlain before the show a little bit about this, and it has a very theatrical feel to it. I mean, very. It could be on or off Broadway. And that
that's
makes
so funny.
that makes perfect sense, my dear, because of our last journey where I heard about everything in your life, performance-wise, and there was a lot of onstage stuff. So how did that come? What was the acoustic version of Rich as opposed to the dark paths through the spectrum?
Well, the song was originally conceived with actually just guitar, but
cool.
I was thinking I wanted to try something different. I have an affinity with the piano. I love the piano because exactly what you said. My background comes from theater. Now,
Yeah.
it's so funny that people perceived it that way. You weren't the only one. It's like got this kind of theatrical vibe. And I'm like, well, I guess that's because it's me. And whenever I get with a piano, that's what happens. So yeah, I mean, I definitely enjoy doing that with Ryan Slatko,
Yeah,
who's playing the piano.
He's wonderful.
Yeah, he's lovely. I actually met him on a plane as well. And he was
Right.
working, it was a different band anyway. And yes, just I hope you enjoy it, and you can watch the whole thing at some point as well.
Oh, I watched the whole thing already. In fact, I
Oh.
watched all of these videos from beginning to end. We only showed maybe two minutes or so just to keep the show moving, but I watched them all, and I loved this. I felt like and I miss Broadway, so I was like, "There's Marlain on stage." But then I watched
That's so cute.
then I watched the other one, and I was like, "Wow!" I was like, the song's the same, obviously, exactly the same melody. But this is great, you guys. This is a little snippet of the song you just saw, an acoustic version, a little piano and Marlain of Rich.
Ooh, I want the perfect man, one to match my twisted mind. Mood, sex, and things in common, unfazed by my historic behind. There's perfection in ambition, sacrificing all for one big goal. Feeling freedom in the seduction of life's creative fishbowl. Yeah, I wanna be rich. Yeah, I wanna be rich. Yeah, I wanna get by the easy way.
Yeah, gosh, that's the it's a shame there aren't many aspects to Marlain Angelides, because it just shows, and that's what I think Savella is showing me, including Soul Defy, which is the last, is I believe one of the last releases you've made so far of Savella's music, and this is you in an emotional kind of swath of stuff. What was Soul Defy?
Yeah, I mean, Soul Defy is probably the most introverted song. It's the most, it's not really commenting on anything. It's very personal. And it actually it was the first one that we produced with David. And he told me this would happen, that I would feel very weird with listening to it for the first time, in its sort of electronic form. And I have to tell you that as time went by, I fell in love with Soul Defy even more, especially doing the video. At first, I was like very kind of hesitant to release Soul Defy, but
Wow.
because I don't know why. Maybe it's too personal.
Because that's what I was going to say, TMI for you at the moment or something
Yeah. But then with Alex, we came up with a concept for the video. I'd also promised people that they would be in the video from my crowdfunding campaign. So I knew that I wanted to bring people into this, and it felt like it was the perfect song because everybody goes through personal moments. Everybody has their personal fights within themselves.
Totally.
So we did this recording of other people over Zoom. It was a very interesting kind of put together version of Soul Defy on the video, but again, Alex did a great job. With practically no budget, because these things usually cost a lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's wonderful, and it does represent that. And frankly, though, music is a place to release a lot of emotions, and so I love to see it. I've loved that whenever I've listened to music for the last 50 years of my life. It's all about feeling it deep. Well, this, you guys, is the latest Savella moment. And we'll talk a little bit with Marlain about where Savella may be going from here. But this is digging a little deeper into the world of Savella, Soul Defy.
Question every
Yes, I'm doing this because that's what I saw so much of, and hands, and that is amazing. You are amazing. I've known that since we did the first
Thank
show.
you.
But Savella is, I've had 70 musicians from around the world, largely concentrating on the DC area because there are so many amazing ones right here too. But um, and your achievement of Savella in this last year exceeds many of what I've seen anywhere because there's
Oh,
just
thank you,
a
Steve.
feel to it. It's not only great music, and I'm not saying that just to blow smoke. I really enjoyed it, and you must feel. How do you feel about what you've done with it? And let us know. Is there going to be any more Savella?
Well, you flatter me, Steve, and it feels, you know, I don't know if you know this, but I am quite a bit of an introvert, so I feel a little bit like I want to run and hide right now. um, but
Well,
but
you're an ambivert because that's what I am. I'm very like I sing in bands, I do this show, I'm like this, like, and then I just can go over and be in the corner for a long time.
right, right,
Maybe it's because
okay.
I'm an only child, but anyway, no, I understand, and again, yeah, it is worth telling you that because it was a wonderful ride. And again, are there futures for Savella?
Yeah, I mean, so the whole project was quite, it was a very difficult journey, because it was so personal, because it was me on my own. I'm usually just the front woman of a band. That's my job. I've always just felt that my role has been to be a front woman, not so much a solo act. It feels very lonely.
Wow.
And it brought out a lot of sort of, fears and uh like self-doubt. So the one thing, once the sort of cycle was complete and I could look back, I thought, wow, okay, no, I actually did something. I took advantage of my time during the pandemic. It was such a difficult time psychologically for so many people and physically for many too,
Yeah.
I was lucky that I didn't have that. Um, but you know, I definitely feel like something has come out of it. I'm not quite sure where it's going to go. That, and to answer your question,
Mhm.
I definitely feel like I owe it a live performance.
Yes.
I need to think about I have 4 songs of Savella. What's the rest of Savella's show going to be? Um, I needed to give it some time to rest, so I can figure out what the show is going to be musically, I mean.
Mhm.
So I hope that sometime in the fall, maybe in the winter, I'll have a live show, and I hope that you can come. I don't know.
So it's
Or
going to
it's
be
going to be live
it's
streamed.
going to be in Washington D.C. I heard.
Oh, boom.
Well, no, as long as it's not
uh,
as long as it's not in Greece, which actually, if it was in Greece, that would be a perfect time for us to visit her, her life.
oh, yes,
But
that
yeah,
would be.
that's really neat to hear though that there may be a live show. I wasn't aware of that, and boy, would that be some amazing stuff to see. Yeah, are you already? Do you have other songs in your back pocket for Savelli yet? Or are you
Um,
working on things?
I have other songs. I just need to figure out how I'm going to present this live because I don't want it to be a band. The whole point is it's not a band, and I
No.
don't want it to be me and a backing track because that's boring. I want it to have a live feel. So I am thinking of how I could present this electronic format live, still have the live feel, but still maintain its roots.
Yeah.
So that's going to drive whatever choices I make for the rest of the repertoire. I do have other songs. I'm not sure if they are suitable. I will definitely do some cover songs, rearrange them somehow, give them a Savella twist and maybe extend the songs that I already have to include a live element. We'll see.
Oh, well, you're going to keep me in close touch on that. Please do,
Yes.
because that is it. That is, I've fallen for Savella. So, I'm
Oh.
guilty. I'm guilty. I already thought you're amazing, but so the Savella end is an amazing part of you. Congratulations on that. In the last
Thank
year,
you.
you just talked a minute or so ago about saying that you're a front woman at heart. The solo thing was not something you were ready to do, and you did it. You have a band too, and they are four women, four people who are incredible. I've known Steph for obviously several years, had her on as one of the early Living on Musics when her audio went silent at one point. And then we started and it wasn't me. And that's when we were evolving. But I love Steph and have for so long. And then to be able to talk to you about this band that you joined, Led Zeppelin, a little while ago, was churning along before this. And I think you guys were, on a pretty great roll. I had just seen you obviously at the State. Seems you're back. You just got back from Cyprus and ran to Maine, which is one of the most amazing things I've heard in a while. And that's why you're like, Steve, I'm about to pass out. I'm so tired. We'll talk tomorrow. And I'm like, God, yes, please. Maybe in 2 days. There's no rush.
Yeah.
But you're back on the track with Steph and Joan and Lisa, and there you go. How is the band coming back together? And boy, did you miss them at all during the pandemic?
Oh my God, of course we missed each other a lot. We tried to do the sort of at-home videos, then we gave it a break. And we got together for the first time in May, I believe, to go to Colorado. And it was, I'll be honest with you, I was shit scared of getting on that stage. I hadn't performed live for so long. I was like, oh my God.
Oh, I bet.
It's just gonna come back. I mean, we rehearsed, but rehearsal's not the same. You can't. So, the first show, it was like just sort of trying to sort of remember the volume because, oh my God, there's a huge volume. My ears were not used to it,
Right.
Remember the feeling, remember how we kind of relate to each other on stage. All of that needed to come back. To be fair, I think that it came back pretty fast. And then we've had a few dotted gigs here and there, and obviously it's going to take a while to pick up to where we were before. Yes, this COVID hit us really at a high place. We were doing really well, and we were promoting the new CD with the strings, we were performing the physical graffiti show. So now we have a few gigs set up in September, and in October we're doing our big New York gig in October. You have to go to Bands in Town to check all the dates because I can't remember them off the top of my head. And I think there's one booked for State Theater as well. I believe it's sometime in December. Do not take my word for it. Sometime.
We're there. Absolutely.
Yes. And it's definitely going to be, I can't wait for it to get back to where it was. We can only pray for it.
Well, yeah. And, the power was there. I was at the physical graffiti show again at the State Theater here in Falls Church, as you mentioned. And the power was infinite. I remember shooting some videos on my phone and hearing from you for the first time. And I'm like, oh my God, how cool is this?
That was you with the wonderful video that was incredible. I had a voice issue at that time and I was like, I'm just going to make everybody sing because I'm so tired. And everybody went, woo! And I was like, holy shit. The audience was like really there. And that's what you captured. And I was like, oh my God, we have to show this.
Oh, and it was viable and palpable that you did that. As we showed a little bit of in your show, because the one I did with Steph was really before you guys even got anything quarantining at all, and we were really at the beginning. Let's show a little bit of talk about Live from Your Phones. How did that come to be?
Oh, well, we actually made a sort of a request for people on one of our Zoom meetings, Facebook Live things, to send whatever live video material you may have had, and we got quite a lot of footage. A lot of it was sort of hard to sort of handle because sound wise it was like very imbalanced.
Yes,
but we managed to get some material that was okay, and that's I edited together what that video was. I think you can find the whole thing on the Led Zeppelin Facebook page.
Yes,
I think definitely shows some of what we had done, would be leading up to anyway. That's right. A lot of the stuff in the last sort of year before the before the pandemic.
Well, and you know, it's like so many of the people I've talked to, and even myself, going back out and playing in my own little world. You have to get the rhythm back. You got to get the feel back. I haven't played with my bigger band in 2 years, and we were supposed to play a huge club here on November 19th, and I'm like, okay, we might want to figure it out and rehearse a little bit. I mean, everybody's just jumping in, but this shows the power, and I think it's power that's not long to be back in your wheelhouse again. This is from what Marlain was talking about as things kind of started to unfold, but it really shows also the beloved fans who are going to be, there's so many people who love capturing you, including me, on their phones and on their devices. This is a little bit of live from your phones.
Anyone out there? Australia.
Please, with consideration from New York City, Les Zeppelin.
Oh man, now I'm going to be waiting daily for the show in December because, again, I've known this band for so long. It was so wonderful to actually, meet and get to know both of you a little bit, even virtually. We'll have to meet and give a hug. And at State, if it's all copacetic, I'll have a mask. I've been, careful, but I can't wait to see you guys in person. You also did some wonderful things called the Quarantine, and there was a lot of people who were trying to figure out ways to do creative things, and it shows your talent again in editing. There's a couple of them that we've shown before, like the immigrant song one is just so wonderful. The ocean, with all the things in the ocean that we showed before, which was so wonderful. This one is one of my favorites. Where did that come from? This whole theory? It was just to kind of get you guys playing the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, that was the first one, and we just said, oh, let's kind of put something together, and we pulled it a little bit out of our ass, I have to say, and then I had the idea of getting people to say something a little bit about who they are and whatever, just to say something to the camera, and then I told them, do not edit anything out, just send me whatever you've got.
Ooh, careful.
Send it to me.
Perfect.
And that's why you get the little funny bits. They had no idea what I was going to do with it, so I didn't have a clue. It just sort of came. I actually think I got an injury in my bicep during that time. I actually think it's from editing Ramble On.
Oh my God.
I just had this pain here, and I couldn't stop. I was like, I wanted to do this so badly, and ended up injuring myself.
Oh,
Whatever. It was the most ridiculous thing. I mean, I'm assuming it was that, because there was nothing else different about my lifestyle other than this mania to edit. I mean, it's so, yeah.
Oh darn, another skill for Marlain. It's just, is there anything you can't do? I mean, this is.
Yeah, I can't play an instrument. That's the rather unfortunate thing, and I wish I could.
I think your other talents will fill that in as well. But here's a little bit of the first of the Quarantine videos, largely furnished and produced. Produced by, edited by Marlain herself, but with Joan and Lisa and Steph, also from Les Zeppelin. This is a little bit of Ramble On.
I've called this time as the time of reckoning, which is very dramatic, which is, I tend to be dramatic.
I was like, yay, I get to stay at home. I get to get some vocal rest.
I haven't sat down behind a drum kit now since March 16th.
Even without this whole quarantine thing, I'm the kind who just stays home a lot.
I have to have that outlet.
I think I went a little nuts.
That thing that when we go and we put it out there, I leave it on the stage, I come out with it.
And I decided to work on my house, which I guess was kind of therapeutic.
The emotions were not good for a long period of time, but now they're better under control.
First of all, think about all those things I've never had time to do and to do them. So that's good.
With time, everything does pass.
Do the best for yourself and everyone around you.
Are we going to be able to play in theaters again with people sitting and rocking out next to each other without a care in the world? Is that going to happen again? Or are we going to be forever stuck with, video music? It scares me. It really does.
I'm pretty much addicted to playing live. I'd have to go through a 12-step program to really stop.
I'm not getting my fix, I guess, so I miss it.
Overall, totally miss the interaction, just playing music with people.
I like the real moments, and I miss them.
I miss the stage. I miss the moment. I miss the timelessness. The timelessness of that moment is much preferred to the timelessness of this moment.
Leaves are falling all around. Time, I was on my way. Thanks to you, I'm much obliged.
Yeah, I mean, you have to, you have to feel. And again, your candor and your wonderful comment before when we were talking about Savella was, I'm a front woman. I love the bands, and that's a band. I mean, everybody in that band is so wonderfully talented.
Yes, they are.
Joan, just across the board. At least it's John Bonham, reincarnated, and is Suzanne, my partner's favorite member of the band. Nothing against you and Steph and Joan.
It's okay.
But just
It's
loves.
okay.
She's a John Bonham fan too, and just loves that. And then Steph is Steph. I mean, you can't get much better. But you really bring just yourself. What I notice is that you're people are going to be like, Robert Plant's in there somewhere, and it's obviously Led Zeppelin, but there's Marlain coming out in spades in that band, and I love that. That makes me like it even better. But so congratulations on
Thank
that.
you.
You guys are going to keep going though, right? As far
Of
as you can go.
course. Yeah, I mean that's that. I think we all feel the same way about this band, and that we all prioritize it. We all want it to work. We all want it to move forward. We definitely love playing together. So it's that's like all the basic things that you need for a band to work.
Yes.
So
absolutely.
I think that makes it work, and we do our best to give it all every single time we perform, and especially now since the shows have been cut down, and we really appreciate the few that we have.
Yeah, it is as powerful as ever, and I think it will come out of this kind of insanity. Just you guys will soar, I'm sure. And again, there's respect, I think, in between you four. There's a love, there's a fun aspect, I'm sure. I saw some great clips again, and going through all the old Led Zeppelin clips just because I couldn't stop looking at them as I started seeing them again. There was one where you were introducing everybody, and you and Steph had your little moment, and I'm just like, yep, it's just quintessential Led Zeppelin. So I'm so excited to follow you guys as you go forward, and hopefully the State Theater will be part of that soon. Marlain, what is the forefront beyond Led Zeppelin? I know Savella might be. You've been doing voice work. Are you continuing to that amazing kind of swath of talents that you have? It seems like they're all popping in still.
Well, I obviously being an actor kind of took the back bench during the quarantine, but
Yes.
I think intrinsically I love acting, and any projects that I feel are worthwhile that come my way, I definitely want to do them. I can do acting well into my old age, so I don't feel that that's limiting at all. So I definitely want to be doing. I'm definitely think I'll be looking for stuff like that a little bit more once things are back to normal. Voice work I've been doing this whole time, and that's part of who I am now.
Yeah.
Behind me right here is I don't know if you can see, but the closet right there is my booth. My booth.
There you go.
So, yeah. So yeah, Sabella, Led Zeppelin. If anything else comes up, people, you never know. You never
Oh
know
God,
what kind of stuff might come up.
that's so exciting. And again, I love the theater aspect. My mother was an actress, a lifelong actress. Did theater all over the eastern part of the United States. So I'm always, and I think I mentioned that in the last show, I'm just always kind of, akin to actresses and on stage, because stage is stage. There's nothing you can do. There's no editing. It's like you're out there as an actress on stage. So I'd love to see you on stage, and I will see you on stage hopefully soon. You know what? It's so wonderful to see you again. And
Thank you, Steve.
I've been following Savella. I've been following you as you've been going along, and then to be able to see you again in person, at least with this virtual stuff. I again hope maybe at the State Theater I can see you guys in person. But
yeah,
wishing you
we must arrange that.
Love to, and I'm wishing you the very best of luck with everything you're doing, because your talents are immense, and I think they're going to carry you forever. So just keep in close touch with me, will you? Thanks for taking the time for being here.
Thank you so much, Steve. I love always coming on your show, and wish you well with your show as well, and everything that you're looking to do with it.
Thank you very much. I've been playing a doctor on videos, so we're all doing what we have to survive.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay. Cool.
It's for doctors' offices when maybe you have sleep apnea and they want people to know how to go through it. And I'm like, hello. So we're all finding ways to go forward, and that's a little one off the course, but I love it. But anyway, my best to you, my best to all the ladies, and Les Zeppelin too, and we will talk soon.
Talk soon. Bye.
Whew. Ali Handal, Marlain Angelides in one show. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Again, there's a parallel that they have between doing tribute bands to two of the greatest rock and roll bands in music history, but they are just still also just incredible solo presences in their own ways, and will continue to be, I'm sure. Ali and Marlain, love you both. Let's keep in close touch, as I say to everybody, but I mean it in the deepest heart. And we'll talk about what you're continuing to do. But thanks so much for gracing the world of Living on Music. Real quick, go to the Zebra Press page right here on Facebook and join. Sign up and like, and you'll get pinged on not only ZTV things, but also incredible things that come from around the area that Zebra Press is involved with, live cut-ins, programs, articles, posts about businesses, people all over the area, and also here at the ZTV page on Facebook. And that you can also get pinged and find out what's going on with ZTV across the board. And we've got some exciting things coming up in the next few months as well. So please stay tuned to that. The Zebra newspaper is out, and it is always extremely informative, engaging. You want to get a copy of it every month. And if you don't grab it in one of the boxes around town, go here. thezebra.org, which is the Zebra Press main website, has all of the past issues of the Zebra paper, which is an incredible thing, as well as multiple engaging articles and information. But also right down there at the bottom, you see it down there? Yep, down there, subscribe. Click on that. You can, for a very nominal fee, you can have the Zebra newspaper delivered to you every month. And there's nothing like having a newspaper in your hands. I say that almost every show, but this morning I can't get going without reading the Post. And if there's other papers like the Zebra, they go too. They get read. So anyway, become a part of the Zebra family. We'd love to have you. Living on Music is a production of Zebra Press. My longtime friend and wonderful musician himself, incredible actually, and also now our editor for Living on Music. Thanks again for being with me, Todd Jones, and the Zebra Press publisher is Mary Wadland. Well, once again, everybody, please find a way to get together, to stay together, to stay safe as you're getting together. Let's keep the safer we get, the better we're going to get out of this thing. I know everybody's like sick and tired of it, but let's keep safe and understand that your diligence is going to be worth it. I'm sure that's what's going to happen. So everybody, enjoy what you can, enjoy live music, enjoy a lot of different things, but stay safe. And remember, next week on Living on Music, another incredible twofer for you all.
Laura Segaris, one of the great musicians of DC, is going to be talking about a new Christmas record she's got coming up. She's also been on Living on Music before, and we're retouching bass. And the great and legendary Dave Chappell is going to be on talking about specifically the Danny Gatton tribute, which is coming up very soon at the Birchmere. Until then, please remember, anything you can do that you want to feel good about and fill up your heart about is to be the good news in someone's life. Take care, everybody. Ciao.